multi-instrumentalist, composer and percussionist who's taken African beats to the world. Volley Nchabeleng has over 20 years experience in the music industry. He shared his music with Indians, Belgians, Germans, to name but a few, and joins us live now in the studio to talk to us a little bit about this musical journey. I love what you've got in store, Volley, and so much so is because how you are authentically bringing to life and maybe even introducing to a greater market everything around African indigenous instruments. And I wonder how many African indigenous instruments we actually currently play and acknowledge within the course of Africa, as well as especially South Africa. A very good morning to you. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Good morning, Faith, and good morning to the viewers. I specialize in so many instruments, and I travel a lot and collect them.
Yeah.
But mainly marimba, mbira, storotoro, makoyan, you can name them. But basically, I have the best of Africa. Like musically, I have the best interest of Africa. So I just want to promote African indigenous instruments as much as I can. Yes.
Yeah, listen, we've had the privilege of listening to a little bit of the bites, and I know we're going to get a great performance from yourselves as well as your band a little bit later on. As you can hear the music in the background, that's a kind of instrumentalist that we're talking about here. But it's been a big journey for you. Over 20 years within the industry, you've played for different audiences, including international. What can you say within the past 20 years have been some of those valuable insights about the appreciation of music? Where do we appreciate music the most? In Africa or abroad?
I think abroad is the best, because I think for me playing abroad is more of bringing Africa to them. So those who have never get a chance to experience Africa, they get to get one-on-one through the instruments, you know. But here at home, I think we kind of neglected our indigenous instruments and maybe focusing more into Western, or maybe they are popular, then it's the road that anyone can just take it easily. But overseas, our music is appreciated a lot.
Yeah. And a lot of people would be worried about, oh, gosh, if I go this journey, if I tackle this genre of music, you know, am I going to get booked? You know, almost at the end of the day, it's about the bottom line, right? And it's about the concern of, am I going to get booked? Will I have an audience? Will I have a market? And is there a market? I mean, you're saying that there's a market, especially internationally, you get booked for this stuff. But talk to us a little bit about this.
So with me, because locally I teach at schools, I teach marimbas, so it's kind of, sometimes you have a means of making a living without stressing about the bookings. So mostly I host my own shows, or I get invited. But if they don't invite me, I can't wait for them to invite me. I create my own show. Like the CD that I just released on the Africa Day. Oh, by the way, it's Africa Month. We just finished celebrating Africa Day at State Theatre last week. But there I had my show with full band and promoting African indigenous instruments. So overseas, again, I create music for theatre productions as well. I'm nominated for Naledi Awards. They are coming, I think, in the end of the month. So I'm one of the nominees there as well for another theatre production. So overseas, I travel as a percussionist, creating music for other productions, and as Volley as well. But the reception is just overwhelming.
No, I get it by how happy you are, even when you're speaking about it as well. I mean, and I want to talk a little bit more about your album. You know, you launched it on Africa Day, One Night in Africa, that is its title. Just talk to us a little bit about some of the work and the input and what can we expect from this album, because this is your body of work.
So it's a journey. You know, the album was recorded live at Joburg Theatre. Yeah. So it's One Night in Africa because I was just touring around Africa, playing instruments across Africa. So all the songs sounds different because there's one indigenous instrument that takes the lead, and the band kind of follow the instrument. Yeah. So the album that started, when you open, you start to listen to it. It's vocal and the traveling back. I turned traveling back into a drum, and it sounded beautiful. So I played more than 10 instruments on that album because it's reflection of Africa through music.
Yeah. Some of the places that you've traveled on the continent, you know, that you can say, I've drawn inspiration from this country, I've drawn inspiration from these people. Where have been some of those places that, you know what, you said, I've traveled here, I've been inspired the most here, I've created my music even after the inspiration that I got from here? Where are those favorite countries of yours?
It will always be Europe, because that was my first tour, and then I found myself playing in a festival where I was live on TV while I play. I was second last on the list, whereby you are the headliner. And after I performed, people left. Like, there was a lot of people on top of trees, and I was in Greece, and I said, Yasu in Komodini, the place called Komodini. I said, Yasu, Komodini, and everyone wants Yasu. And I was like, is it me? I can't even believe it. So it will always take me back there when we started. But the place like India, that's where I learned about authenticity and how people love their sound. Well, in India, I collaborate with a lot of Indians, but you can't interfere much with their music. They are so reserved, you know, they love their sound, and even if they play a certain genre, there's always a signature of Indian. Like, so that's why I was like, no. When I play music, I use violins or piano. There must be a signature of African yamope, or something like that. You know, it must always be there.
You know, when you and I are speaking, there's the sound that's playing, or the song that's playing in the background.
It's called Marahara.
Marahara.
Yes, it's about the bullying ones. When I was young, sometimes when they sent me to the shops, there will be this bully who hides under some trees, and sometimes they take the change or the bread that they send you to buy. So one day I was with my brother and walking along the street, and I saw that guy. I was like, hey, Mona, today I'm with Marahara. Like, I call my brother Marahara because he's a tough one. I was like, you can't do me nothing, you know. That's how I composed the song. Because when I was reflecting, going back, this song is old, more than 20 or 25 years old.
It is sounding absolutely beautiful, still relevant today as probably as it was 20 something odd years ago. And it's just absolutely beautiful because it's not even just a uniquely South African sound. You can you hear different kind of inspirations. You know, it almost reminds of the times of Fela Kuti and the like, right? It's very Fela Kuti kind of texture. I know I'm going to release you right now so that you can go and prepare for your performance. You do not want to miss out this wonderful performance coming up after the break with Volley Nchabeleng. His band is in the studio. You can hear it playing in the background there with that song titled Marakaraka. But we've got more music for you after this. Do stay with us.